Hey, welcome to Rob Schmitt Tonight. Tonight, a closer look at the most critical Biden corruption whistleblower who Republicans say possesses taped recordings of Joe Biden from years ago when he paid Biden and his family a $10 million bribe to help save his corrupt company from Ukraine's Justice Department. Mykola Zlochevsky is the founder of Burisma Energy Holdings. Zlochevsky is not a good person. He's a corrupt Ukrainian oligarch, one of many who landed at the top of the pile when the Soviet Union crumbled. Zlochevsky founded Burisma in 2002, and in 2010, Ukraine's President Viktor Yanukovych appointed him Minister of Ecology and Natural Resources. It was a huge cha-ching for Burisma. Zlochevsky started funneling his company tons of business, typical behavior in one of the most corrupt countries in the world. Then in 2014, a revolution in Ukraine ousted President Yanukovych. The Ukrainians had had enough of the Russian stooge president, and Petro Poroshenko took over and started cleaning out his predecessor's corrupt schemes using Viktor Shokin as his prosecutor general. You probably recognize that name. That meant trouble for Zlochevsky, Burisma guy. So he hired Hunter Biden for $1 million a year and allegedly funneled another $10 million to Joe Biden and the Biden family. Biden then allegedly told just elected Poroshenko, or actually did tell Poroshenko, that $1 billion in American aid would not arrive in his country until he agreed to fire his brand new prosecutor general who was investigating Burisma. Here is how all of that played out.
And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money.
Yesterday, I met with the General Prosecutor Shokin.
Yes.
And I especially asked him, no, it was the day before yesterday. I especially asked him to resign.
Great.
And this is my second step for keeping my promises.
I agree.
Oh, son of a got fired.
You notice how uncomfortable Biden sounded on that phone call? He did not want to be on that phone call. Great. I agree. Shokin was fired, and the next prosecutor general that moved in looked the other way on Burisma. It was worth it. The allegation that Biden leveraged $1 billion of your money to make millions of dollars for his family. That's the allegation. And the evidence is everywhere. It's a scandal that makes Watergate look like a parking ticket. It really does. And it couldn't be any more obvious. But the FBI simply ignores it. They protect Biden, as establishment Washington so often does now. And when Donald Trump realized his own DOJ was ignoring one of the biggest political scandals this country has ever seen, while constantly being attacked from all sides as he was president of the United States, well, he went around our own Justice Department and asked Ukraine's newest leader, Volodymyr Zelensky, to investigate this on their side. And what happened next? Well, Democrats impeached him for it. How predictable. But with a media that now shares the same agenda as Joe Biden, the obvious truth is very often concealed. The media ignores stories it doesn't want you to hear. They ignore inconvenient facts. All week, CNN's news guy, Jake Tapper, has been crying like a baby over Trump's handling of classified documents. But for the past 2 years, Tapper has been intentionally ignoring a much larger scandal that he knows is extremely credible. That the sitting president of the United States has long been an influence peddler, has been selling access to his power to other corrupt countries and adversaries all over the world. And it is happening all over the world. The Biden-China corruption whistleblower, Tony Bobulinski, has been begging Tapper to come on for years. Bobulinski is the perfect witness. He is a former business partner of Hunter Biden, who met with Joe Biden. And he has all of the proof of it. We've seen it. He asked CNN to come on. Tapper ignores this man and screams all day about much lesser allegations against Donald Trump. And remember, that's the news guy over at CNN. The rest of the media does exactly the same. Even the big three networks, NBC, ABC, CBS, refuse to cover Biden's corruption allegations. It is Soviet-style state-run media. When they hear allegations they don't like, they claim there's not enough evidence. When it becomes basically a fact, they just refuse to report it. Right now, Joe Biden is being leveled with several corruption allegations from several credible whistleblowers. And here's the media's version of those events.
There was no initial indication, as of February at least, that there was anything classified in them.
I think that we still have no evidence whatsoever that the current president did anything intentionally and willfully.
This is preposterous. This has been pending, according to our reporting at CNN, since 2018. 5 years. And this, by the way, this investigation is not the laptop. This investigation is a tax issue.
Yeah, 5 years? Yeah, then why is it still open, Slick? Answer that question. Why hasn't it been closed? Oh, you don't have an answer for that, do you? That's why you sit on CNN. This is exactly what is meant when you hear the term fake news, by the way. They only cover the stories that advance their political agenda. And Joe Biden's obvious corruption is not one of those stories. This morning, MSNBC continued its ritual of Biden's sycophantic humiliation. Morning Joe brought on a guy named Michael Tomasky, editor of the left-wing trash heap that is known as the New Republic. Tomasky wrote a hilarious op-ed this week entitled "Inside the GOP's Latest Attempt to Smear Joe Biden, How Low Will Republicans Go?" That was the title of the op-ed. Michael Tomasky probably thinks he's a journalist. In reality, he's just a pitiful shill for left-wing authoritarianism, like so much of the media is today. If Tomasky worked in China, his articles would be glowing profiles of leader Xi Jinping. He'd be debunking the myth that Uyghur Muslims are persecuted and cheering on the government's efforts to eradicate COVID by imprisoning people in their homes for months on end. But in the United States, Tomasky simply sounds like this.
They know that they're about to hitch their wagon to the most corrupt man who's ever been president or run for president. So the flip side of that coin is that they have to dirty up Joe Biden. This supposed $5 million bribe that he allegedly took from somebody in Ukraine is an old story. Rudy Giuliani was peddling it many years ago, and it was Bill Barr, when he was Attorney General, appointed a special prosecutor to look into it. It's apparently dropped, although the U.S. Attorney in Delaware is supposedly looking into it. But look, do I know for a fact that Joe Biden never took a bribe? Well, of course not. Anything's possible, I suppose. But I do know for a fact that a couple of things. Joe Biden's been in public life for half a century, and we've never seen any financial scandal attached to his name.
I wonder how you breathe with your head that far up the White House's butt. It's quite impressive. All of that was lies. Every single bit. That was like a 40-second soundbite, all lies. Bill Barr himself, a man who would vote for Biden over Trump in a heartbeat, debunked all of that a week ago. That was from today. Tomasky knows that. He knows all of those talking points have been totally debunked. He's just playing dumb. He's hoping his audience is just as dumb. Barr told the Federalist it's not true. The case was not closed down. It was sent to Delaware for further investigation. The case is still open. It's just that the FBI doesn't want to touch it. But they're not quite corrupt enough to actually close it. It's been open for 5 years. It's still open. They're just, I can't see anything. I don't know where it is. But they're not going to close it because that's really bad. To just close it when it's obvious, as we can all see. The Federalist also reported a source near the investigation confirmed it has nothing to do with Rudy Giuliani. Tomasky just threw in Giuliani's name to destroy any credibility with all the people that watch MSNBC. He's just a state-sponsored liar. That's all he is. He's smart enough to know the allegations against Biden are not only credible, but are very obvious, like the rest of us. It's obvious. When you look at this story, it's obvious. Nobody else in Biden's family does anything. They're all idiots. How did this family get so rich? How did it happen? What are they selling? They have no business. How did it happen? He's just hoping the American people are dumb enough to read his op-ed full of facts that were debunked a week ago and believe it. And of course, MSNBC can't book him fast enough. We actually wanted to book him as well. We asked Michael Tomasky from New Republic on tonight. We invited him on the show. He did not even respond to the request. And it's very, very easy to see why.